Brian Shellman, St. Louis County Public Information Officer, was on with us. Corporal Wheatley from the Missouri Highway Patrol. That's part of their strategy, their tactical response. We heard Captain Ron Johnson, Missouri Highway Patrol, talk about it. They want to talk more, not less. They want to be transparent, and so they are making themselves available as we wait to learn. Will we have another press conference before the planned one at 3 a.m.?
But it's very difficult for us in the media not to. We hear reports of looting at Delwood Market. What do we want to do? We want to go and document that. That's what we do. We want to see if police are responding, how bad the situation is, what's going on there. But, there's a curfew. We're not going to be allowed to go drive the streets of Ferguson or Delwood and go check out and see what looting there is. Hopefully, they can get that situation under control shortly because, as we've seen, one thing businesses don't need anymore of is looting in that area.
We watched it play out live. We'll try to bring you some of those images from several nights ago. You lose track of time when you've been on the air this long, but we saw that incredible scene play out, the looting. At one point, even bringing out a cash register, armloads of goods from area businesses, and business owners questioning why their property was not better protected. And that brings up another question that we do want to learn from police. How much are they focusing on area businesses? Captain Johnson with the Missouri Highway Patrol told us last night, overnight at 3 a.m., that enough was enough, that residents in Ferguson were telling him, we can't get the essentials. You got the quick trip that's burned out, businesses boarded up, others closing early because of that core group of demonstrators who amp it up and are bent on violence, unrest, and doing damage to personal property.
Again, we do know there will be a press briefing at 3 a.m. We assume that's still on. There was one last night. But we've got a long way to go. We're only 20 minutes into the mandated curfew, second night of curfew at midnight, from midnight to 5 a.m. People ordered off the streets of Ferguson. Our reporters have been pulled back. Chris Stanford specifically has been pulled back from the area where he was in West Florissant, closer to the Quick Trip. They've pulled the media back to the police command or staging area. You've seen Laura Hediger reporting from there, Jillian Johnson's.
I want to start off by thanking the men and women of the Highway Patrol, St. Louis County, St. Louis City, and all the municipal police departments. They did a fine job tonight protecting the citizens of Ferguson. Tonight, a Sunday that started with prayers and messages of unity, peace, and justice, took a very different turn after dark. Molotov cocktails were thrown. There were shootings, looting, vandalism, and other acts of violence that clearly appear not to have been spontaneous but premeditated criminal acts designed to damage property, hurt people, and provoke a response. The catalyst was not civil disobedience, but pre-planned agitation and aggression, coordinated in many cases. When Governor Nixon and Colonel Fogel first assigned me to the task of helping restore order to Ferguson, our basic principles were to protect people's ability to make their voices heard. While keeping this community safe, we needed to protect the good people of Ferguson, their businesses, and their property. That's why earlier tonight, we were walking with and listening to the peaceful protesters, voicing their frustration in a way that doesn't put others in personal danger. That's also why when we saw violent acts, including shootings and throwing of Molotov cocktails and the destruction of businesses, we had to act to protect lives and property. The situation first started to deteriorate with a shooting of a civilian on West Florissant and Ferguson Avenues at approximately 8:25 p.m. We quickly responded with additional officers to reach the victim and got them to a safe position. That was followed by shots being fired on officers, a number of Molotov cocktails being hurled, and then the looting or vandalism of businesses that included a Domino's Pizza, O'Reilly's Auto Parts, a family dollar store, and a self-storage business. All were on West Ferguson. These are some of the shootings tonight, in addition to the shooting at 8:25 p.m. 1 minute later at 8:26, shots were fired to the north on Canfield. At 8:27, there was a report of a subject down. At 8:28, there was a report of 8 people with guns. Tactical teams were dispatched. At 8:56, hundreds of protesters marched toward the Northeast Shopping Center, where we stand at this moment, the site of this command post. As the crowd approached the shopping center, multiple Molotov cocktails were thrown at police. At that time, police deployed tear gas in an attempt to disperse the crowd and stop the violent action. At that time, we called in additional support from area police agencies. At 9:15, there was a call for a large crowd gathering at the McDonald's on West Florissant. At 9:20, it was reported that McDonald's was being overrun and employees had locked themselves in the storage room. There were multiple additional reports of Molotov cocktails being thrown. Police were shot at. Makeshift barricades were set up to block police. Bottles and rockets were thrown at police. Based on these conditions, I had no alternative but to elevate the level of our response. For those who would claim that the curfew was what led to tonight's violence, I will remind you, this incident began before 8:30. 3.5 hours before the curfew was to have started last night. Tonight by teleconference, Chief John Belmer of the St. Louis County Police Department, Chief Sam Dodson of the St. Louis City Police Department, and I have been in discussion with Governor Jay Nixon and Colonel Rapogel, who were at the Highway Patrol headquarters in Jefferson City. We are planning additional steps to quiet the violence. We are all determined to restore peace and safety to the people of Ferguson, and I believe the continued resolve of the good people of this community will ultimately triumph over the few people bent on violence and destruction. I have time to take a few questions before I return to operational planning.
Looted, and we heard Julian Johnson interviewing the owner. He's disgusted, but you could hear the disgust in Captain Johnson's voice as well too. So I don't think anything's off the table at this point, and I would expect them. And I know this for a fact. Was told that even before Governor Nixon came to town and publicly changed tactics, privately the tactics had changed, and the law enforcement officials you've been talking about, you mentioned, they were meeting on a daily basis anyway and having morning briefings. So they're going to have another long discussion about what happens tomorrow night, and maybe the National Guard at some point does come into play here.
Another long discussion about what happens tomorrow night, and it's been an incredibly long
night. And we're not through it tonight. To be honest with you, it's just 1:25, 1:30.
We're not. Matt Cesny, you've been on the ground there. You've watched it play out live. Take us through it. What more can you add?
Sharon, I am down Chambers, just down the road from where Julian Johnson is at the Delwood Market. There are at least 7 St. Louis County police cars in front of this church, which I hope you can see. I've been informed that someone was trying to break into the church within the last 30 minutes or so, and a large group of officers swarmed in around here, surrounding the place. There goes a fire truck going by. It doesn't appear as if they did get in, because
with open arms, people hug him. It's just a couple of stupid people who come out here with their guns, with the gang bangers and whatever, and they're, they think it's cool to shoot people up and to, say F the police, and it's dumb. It's ignorance. And so now it's reflecting on him, the man who they brought to, who comes from the neighborhood, who has, dealt with police brutality, who's dealt with being, a target of police, and who's dealt with discrimination, and who knows where they come from. and now they're embarrassing him. That's exactly what's happening here. And not only embarrassing him, embarrassing themselves, and as I said, the family of Michael Brown. This isn't about your dumb, stupid thing that you could throw a Molotov cocktail at a police officer. This is about a young man who died. This is about showing the community and showing the world that you want change, that you legitimately want change, and that you can show people that you know how to act. And now people, well, you don't know how to act, so there are many people who are going to say, well, what the heck? If they're going to be shooting up people and looting, then the police officer should be out there in the tactical gear, because they're citizens, most of the citizens are law-abiding citizens in the community and do not deserve for you to terrorize them. And people can legitimately say that because that's exactly what you're doing by acting like an idiot.
Yeah, Don, we understand that, but, at the same time, these are deep, deep-rooted issues of mistrust with the police, not advocating certainly any violence, but there's just so much
But
deep
those issues
mistrust.
you can deal with, those issues have to be dealt with.
Right.
Those issues have to be dealt with, and they will be dealt with, but they should be dealt with in a manner where you don't terrorize people. They're absolutely legitimate issues, but you cannot deal with those issues. They are deflecting attention away from the legitimate issue, and that is discrimination. That is a police department that people feel that they are not represented by. But if you are going to do those things, you overshadow the good intentions with the stupid actions.
Don Lemon is live for us in Ferguson, Missouri. Don, thanks very much. We'll certainly connect with you throughout the night if there are more developments. Natalie, we just watched as the police captain said the police officers did a fine job Sunday night in dispersing the crowd and trying to identify those provocateurs who he says were trying to ruin this really for everybody.
I'm getting harassed by cops who ain't giving breaks. Policemen claiming they heroes, but they really fake. With all this damn depression, man, it equals hate. This world is on some crack, man, it needs to shake. Story of my life. I've been struggling, I've been hustling, been smuggling. Story of my life. Life's like a movie script, my mind is losing it. I'm tired of foolishness. Story of my life. I've been struggling, I've been hustling, been smuggling. Story of my life. Life's like a movie script, my mind is losing it. I'm tired of foolishness. Story of my life. This is the story of my life. This is the story of my life.